Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Tim's Teaching Tips. In this video, I'm going to talk about writing. There are many purposes for our writing, as well as many different types. A child might write a paragraph about their favorite fall activity, or they might write a report about some facts they've learned about penguins. In this video, I'm going to focus on creative writing. Creative writing is when children take their thoughts, their feelings, their ideas, and express themselves in written form. So let's get started. Why is creative writing so important? I really believe that it helps to boost other language skills, especially reading. In my experience teaching first graders for more than 20 years, I would often encounter children that were reading above grade level. But when you looked at their writing, it lagged far behind. I think one of the main reasons that was happening was simply because we did not give children time to write, and we didn't coach them along the way. So I want to encourage you to allow time for your child to write. You will find that writing will help to boost reading skills, and reading skills will help boost their writing. They really truly work hand in hand. A consistent daily allotment of time for writing will pay very rich dividends.
So first, let's get to the basics of getting started. Your child is going to need a good space and a few important supplies. In selecting a space, I would suggest that the most important consideration is to find somewhere free of as many distractors as possible, like the TV and the radio and the pets. A quiet space is needed so that they can focus on writing. Writing, of course, is fun, but it does require concentration. And then secondly, essential supplies including sharpened pencils. I would say at least 2. And writing paper or notebook, perhaps a small pencil sharpener, crayons, and also a timing device. I like to use an egg timer, but you could use an app on your phone or just some device that's going to keep track of time. Now I'm going to share 3 options to help young writers get started. The first is using a story starter. This helps those children who have trouble deciding what they want to write about on a given day, but it's open-ended enough that they can still have individual expression. Second option is choice boards. I like giving 3 different choices in my boards. Students select one from the daily choices, and I'll provide some examples. Thirdly is a free choice option. Now this option sounds very wide open, and it can be. However, we will guide children to create some lists that will serve as a resource on those occasions when they are not quite sure what they want to write about. And again, I'm going to provide some examples and more information about each of these options as we move forward.
If you're going to use story starters, you have several options. You might take a dry erase board and write down the story starter for your child to copy, or you can also write it in their notebook or a piece of paper. One thing that I always like to do is make sure that I include the date so that you can go back and see how your child is growing over time, or remember some special events that they chose to write about on a given date. It's fun to go back and take a look at that. So at the top of the paper, I'm going to record the date, and here are some examples of some story starters. September was a great month too. The best thing about going to the beach is, or you could shorten that and say the best thing about the beach is, my family loves it when I. Again, you can copy from a board. You could use a notebook. The child will record the date, story starter, and continue adding their thoughts to the story starter. You could also give them the story starter on a separate piece of paper and then incorporate these into a binder. You'll notice that after the child writes, there will be plenty of space left the bottom of the page or on the next page for them to draw a picture to go along with their story. Choice boards provide another option for writing, and this works the same way. I stress that the child is going to begin by putting the date on the top of their paper. But I always like to give 3 choices per day. So here's an example. Boys and girls, today I want you to either write about your pets, favorite holiday, or soccer. And of course you can adapt these to the season of the year. You can adapt these to any special studies if you're learning about bears or penguins, or in social studies learning about your neighborhood. You can incorporate those types of choices into your writing. Now with story starters and with choice boards, you're going to set them up, help make sure they understand the topic or the story starter, and then you are going to literally set a timer for 10 minutes and ask them to do something in their writing journal for at least 10 minutes. When they finish writing a story, they may draw a picture and color it, or they may go back and read other stories and perhaps add more details to the stories they've already created. And the third option is having a free choice time of writing. Now, by the nature of that title, you understand that children would come to their time of writing and choose to write about anything that they would like to write about on that given day. Sometimes, however, children get stuck. It's like, I don't know what I want to write about. So we're going to set them up in their journal to have some resources for those times that they get stuck. So on the first 2 pages of their notebook, you're going to take your scissors and clip the corner. I use the upper right hand corner just so that these 2 pages stand out, and the child will remember setting this up and can go back and reference this. On the first page, you're going to draw a Valentine at the top, and you're going to make a list of some things that they love or that they like. Maybe they would like to write about these things one day. So as an example, for things that I love: music, soccer, spaghetti. So you can help them to develop a list of at least 4 or 5 things that they like. So on those occasions where they get stuck and not sure what they want to write about, they can reference this. On the second page, you're going to put a big X. And these are things that I dislike, things I'm not so crazy about. And it works the same way. Help them develop a list of 4 or 5 things. I wrote down spiders because sometimes they scare me, cold weather, wet socks. They have their list, and although these are things that they dislike, sometimes it's fun to write about those things. So those are 2 special pages that they can reference if they come to their writing time and not sure what to write about on that given day. Make sure to remind them to put the date at the top, and everything else works the same way that the story starters and the choice boards work. Set up the timer for 10 minutes, and they must do something in their notebook for that time.
Now we are ready to write. Once you have explained the story starter or presented the choice board options or are about to start pre-choice writing, you're then explaining the expectations. You might say, I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. During this time, I want you to focus on writing. When you finish writing, you may draw and color a picture to go along with your story, or you may read other stories that you've already written. But you must do something in your writing journal for the entire 10 minutes. Now, for our young writers, they'll often worry about, how do I spell a word? For our purposes in this writing, spelling is not all that important. The focus is on what's in their mind and getting it from there to their paper. Spelling is secondary. So I give this tip, and this is what I've always told my students. If you can say it, you can write it. If you can write it, I can read it. So you're just going to encourage them to write down the sounds that they hear for their words. When they ask you to spell the word, just smile, wave at them as if to say, just keep on writing. Write the sounds that you hear. We can fix the spelling later. You'll find that the more children are in print, the more they will begin to self-correct. Something that doesn't look right about the word. Oh, it needs 2 E's to make that long E sound. And now for another fun part of the adventure, sharing their writing. After the 10 minutes is completed, encourage your child to go back and read their story to themselves. Sometimes when they do that, they will say, oh, I meant to say this and I left out this word, and they can quickly go ahead and make that edit. And then after that, you want to encourage them to read their story aloud. The most important part, I think, afterwards is praising their efforts. Find something in their story that you liked. Maybe it was a very descriptive word, and say, oh, I love how you use that word, incredible. Or maybe it was a certain aspect of their story that you can relate to, and you can share about how that impacted you. Just find something to praise their writing, because it's going to encourage them more than you can ever imagine.
I wanted to let you know that I've created a free product for you. It is a set of story starters for the month of September. You can access the information about that in the description below. I hope that you'll take advantage. I also have several products that I've created to help with creative writing, and you can find the link in the description below. They will take you to the Pay Teacher store that you can then access that information and download it. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this video. I really appreciate your time to watch, and I hope that information will be helpful for you. I would greatly appreciate if you would kindly like the video, and especially if you would please subscribe to this channel. I'm constantly uploading new videos and sharing more information. Thank you so much. Happy writing!